Hello everyone, welcome to the webcast on our ontology services for enterprises. Before we do a deep dive into our topic, let me do a quick introduction about who we are. Acuvate has been in the industry for almost 2 decades now, and we have been helping our customers with their digital solutions. The way we do this is with our 3 core pillars, where we have solutions around data and analytics, AI and automation, and workplace modernization. This slide also shows the prestigious clientele with whom we have been working over the years. One of the key differentiators that we bring to the market is our accelerators, using which we are able to deliver tried and tested solutions to our customers in minimum time to market. Today, we will be focusing on our ontology services. Before we do a deeper dive, let's first try to understand what exactly is ontology. Let me give you a hypothetical scenario. Imagine it's a Monday morning. You are, let's say, the logistics lead, and your manager pings you in the morning. Hey, why did that shipment to Madrid arrive late? Now, that's an information you know that is available. It's a very simple question. But to answer that simple question, you will need to open your Power BI, check your dashboards, check the delivery metrics. Then you dig through all your list of emails to see what's the conversation going on with the logistics team. You also scroll to your team's chat where someone might have mentioned a pickup problem which you remember reading. In addition to that, you know that your manager would like to know what's the kind of agreement you have with this vendor. And that service level agreement is sitting somewhere in your SharePoint. We just spoke about 4 different systems, half a dozen different searches, and by the time you have pieced all this information together, your entire morning is gone. You know what's the frustrating part? All that information already existed inside your organization. Nothing was missing. The problem wasn't the data. The problem was that none of your data was connected. No single place of these data sources understood that number, the email, the chat, and the contract were all about the same shipment. That's the gap we are talking about. Between having data and understanding it is what today is all about. Today we'll be talking about ontology. You may argue that you already have AI agents and co-pilots and they are fetching all that information for you. Absolutely, they do a wonderful job at that. But the challenge is they do not understand the business meaning behind it, right? So that's where ontology comes in. Think of ontology as that intelligent business layer that is sitting on top of all your different siloed sources and providing the business context to your data. Think of it as the digital twin of your business entities and business processes. You may ask, why does it matter? Right? Today, enterprises have all the data, as we just spoke about in the example a while back. But the challenge is this information is disconnected. Thus, using it in a meaningful manner becomes very challenging. This data could sit in your ERP systems, your data warehouses, in your Excel files, in Word documents, and whatnot. But because it is not connected, it is challenging to fetch the information and make decisions. That's where ontology helps. Ontology helps by defining a shared, meaningful understanding of all your siloed data. It connects all your pieces of data into one model in terms of how your business exactly works. Think of it as a semantic model on steroids, if I may, right? But in the case of semantic model, it is limited to your data warehouse. But with ontology, your semantic model now mirrors your whole business, wherever the data may lie. And the interesting thing is, because ontology speaks in your business terms, your business users can now get all the information they need and make the decisions by themselves. No more relying on reports, no more relying on SMEs, data analysts, data engineers, or whatever, right? Because they understand the business, they understand the business terms, they understand the business entities, they can start asking all the questions that they have in simple English language. And because of the ontology layer, we are able to get all the responses which are grounded, having the right citations, and also traceable in terms of what's the source of that information. That's a quick introduction to the topic that we have in mind today, and let's do a deeper dive with that. So, Microsoft announced Microsoft IQ for the ontology layer. Let's see how that all fits in now, right? So we have the data spread across all these siloed sources that we just discussed a while back. That's where Microsoft IQ brings the ontology layer with 4 of its important pillars. We have Fabric IQ, Foundry IQ, Work IQ, and Web IQ. So Fabric IQ is what helps us to bring in all that information from your structured data sources. We have Foundry IQ that helps us to tap into all your policies, documents, manuals, and so on. Then we have Work IQ because a lot of information is hidden in our Teams conversations, emails, etc. And then we have Web IQ that helps us to bring information from the open web, right? We also have the layer for Model Context Protocol that's the open standard for connecting agents to ontology tools and systems. Once we have this business layer or the intelligent business layer available, then our agents can start talking to this intelligent business layer and fetching the information and delivering the experiences to your business users. A double click on each of these layers before we get into the actual demonstration. So we have Fabric IQ, which helps us to get all the structured data into a living ontology, right? So you may already have your semantic model in place, you have all your operational data, you have the various analytics in place, etc. With Fabric IQ, we are able to bring all this as part of your ontology model. Then we have Foundry IQ. You can have all your manuals sitting in various knowledge sources. It could be in your SharePoint, your OneDrive, or whatever is the source that you're using today to manage your structured, unstructured documents. All that can be fetched using Foundry IQ. We have Work IQ that helps us to fetch the context of how the people in the organization work. So this could be your Teams chats, your files shared on your OneDrive, etc. And it could also be your emails and so on. So as long as it is having the right access permissions, it can fetch all that information for you and bring in all that context. So going back to my previous example, when my boss asked me to get the status of the delayed shipment, let's say there was a Teams conversation, someone in the logistics team was already discussing about a delayed pickup, I could quickly fetch that information thanks to Work IQ. And then there is Web IQ that helps us to fetch information from the web. We can get grounded information. So let's say we are talking about delays, right? Let's say there was a delay because of some sort of storm, etc. If I was connected to the web to get latest weather forecast information, I could have planned my shipments better, right? That's what we are talking about with these 4 business layers. So essentially what we are saying is, though your data is siloed across multiple different sources, with Microsoft IQ's 4 pillars, Fabric IQ, Foundry IQ, Work IQ, and Web IQ, we are able to create an intelligent business layer on top of your siloed data sources so that your agents can now get the business meaning, not just the information, right? So what's the result? We are talking about grounded answers with completely traceable results. And that's why we are able to make those decisions immediately. With that in mind, let's do a double click into a demonstration that we have put up for you today. Let me set up the context of what this demonstration is all about. For the demonstration, we have come up with a fictitious organization called Healthy Drinks. This is a CPG beverage manufacturing firm. And like any other typical large beverage manufacturing firm, this could have multiple plants spread across geographies, etc. Right? So in this particular case, this organization has 12 plants spread across both Europe and US. Presently, they manufacture 15 different SKUs and they cater to 140 different supermarkets with their stores, etc. So we have a lot of information when it comes to logistics related details, the sales records, and so on, right? So this is what a typical setup would look like. So you have the company headquarters, which has multiple different production plants, and each of those production plants will have multiple different production lines. They cater to the requirement of different supermarkets. They also have a lot of logistics data that is coming in. So there's also going to be some real-time data from logistics, from your production lines, and so on. We have all the information about the various products, their SKUs, and all that, right? So all this whole information together is what we are going to bring in as part of your ontology. This is what my connected knowledge graph looks like, and this is purely limited to my structured data sources right now. So what we have done is we have gone ahead and defined the various different business entities, like the production plants, the different production lines under the production plants, the SKUs that are produced in these production lines, and so on. And we have gone ahead and defined this ontology and created all the business relationships across these various business entities, right? So with that context, let me switch over to my demo environment. So what you're seeing on my screen is my Teams window, and I am using HD Assistant, that is the Healthy Drinks Assistant Copilot solution. This is designed to help assist with all the queries that the business users at Healthy Drinks organization may have, right? So we'll be walking through two different scenarios. First, we'll focus on an operations scenario, and then we'll move to a logistics scenario. Now, for the operations scenario, let's imagine I am responsible for the overall OE of the various plants, etc., right? So in particular, let's say I'm the supervisor for plant 6. So let's say I will look at list all the lines at plant 6. So essentially with this Copilot, since we have connected it to the various IQ tools, that is Fabric IQ, Foundry IQ, Work IQ, and Web IQ, we will be able to fetch different responses individually from each of the systems, and also contextual responses from across the systems, because we have defined that business meaning, right? Now I'm asking a simple question: list all the lines at plant 6. Okay, so these are various production lines. I have plant 6, which is at Stuttgart. Now I will take it one step further. I want to check what's the OEE, right? So I'll say list the OEE of all the lines at plant 6, and I want to give a time frame for Q1 2026. Okay. Yeah. So now we just got the responses for the OE of the various production lines of plant 6 in Q1. So it's giving me the OE for line 6.1 and 6.3, which is line ID 19 and 21. Interestingly, there is no data available for line 20, as you can see, right? The important thing to note here is, as I mentioned earlier in my introduction, with ontology, we are able to bring the traceability as well. So you're now able to see, though it is connected to multiple different siloed sources, it is telling me that this information, it has fetched from Fabric IQ. So it has fetched the information from whatever sources I have connected through Fabric IQ, and from there I'm able to get the responses, right? Now, because I did not see any information for line 20, I want to take this a little further. I will say, show me the availability of lines 19, 20, and 21 in Q1 2026. So essentially, I'm now doing a deeper dive. I'm trying to see what are the various parameters that have contributed to the OE. So we know availability, performance, and quality, right? So first, I'm focusing on the availability part. Okay, so as you can see, it has given me the details for line 19 and 21. However, there is no data recorded for line 20. Now that makes me curious. I want to check what exactly is happening. So I will say, why is there no data available for line 20? So here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get some reasoning now. I'm not just asking simple queries, but I'm also trying to do a deeper dive, do some root cause analysis. Yeah. Now we've got this response. So here you can see it is intentional and expected. It is not a reporting error. This is because line 20 was idle for the entire quarter and so on. So essentially, this was a business decision that was taken because there was not enough demand for this particular SKU, right? And One more important thing to note that is this information has not come from Fabric IQ. This has been documented based on internal discussions, etc. So now the source of information has been updated. As you can see, it is pointing me to a document which is having the Plant 6 line utilization plan. That's the document, and this has come from my backend knowledge sources. So that way, just by asking simple questions, I'm able to fetch the entire story and understand what exactly is happening behind the scenes. Okay, let's move on now. I've understood that line 20 was not available, and this is the reason why it's not available. Let us now imagine that there is a new demand for these queues, and I want to start doing some what if analysis, like what if I bring back line 20, how many more good units I can produce, and so on. So I'll say if I start line 20 for two shifts with the same run rate as line 19, because both line 19 and line 20 are bottling lines, right? So what is the number of additional good units that will be produced each day? Okay, so many a times we are faced as a business user, as someone who's responsible for managing the various plants, right? We are faced with this question that if there is some upcoming order, etc., we want to know, okay, should I increase the number of shifts of this production line, or should I add in more production lines, and what's the kind of capacity I should increase, and so on, right? So instead of doing that manually, going through the reports, etc., and then doing it, I could directly rely on this kind of assistant now. Yeah. There you go. Now we've got the response. So what it has done is it has now fetched the information from Fabric IQ, from my structured data source, to get what, based on the recent records, what's the run rate, right? And because I said assuming I get the same run rate as line 19, it has done all that analysis for me. And based on all the calculation, it's giving me the expected number of additional units that I can produce per day, right? So far for my operations data, I was able to fetch simple query responses. I was also able to get reasoning information, though it is coming from siloed sources. It was able to connect the dots and give me the information. I'm also able to use this agent now to do some what if kind of analysis, right? Let's do some more operation queries. Let's switch roles now. Let's say I'm responsible for the quality of these various production lines, right? So let me say how many batches failed the QC in plant 6 in Q1 2026. So now I just switched to a different role. I'm now focusing on the quality of the various units that are produced in these production lines, and I'm trying to understand what exactly was the status first. Yeah. So there you say, again, it is fetching the information from Fabric. It is pulling in the actual data from my structured data sources. And now I can see there are about 1,350 batches that failed the quality control. So this information could be coming in from your MES systems, from your ERP systems, or wherever you are maintaining your production line health information today, right? But we are able to fetch it with a simple English query. I, as a business user, did not have the need to know any query language. Okay, let me take this further. Let me ask, show the reject rates in plant 6 in Q1 2026. So I saw which were the batches that failed the quality check. So I want to take it to the next level. What exactly is the reject rate that I'm observing in plant 6? Yeah, there you go. So by all the lines, it is showing me what's the kind of reject rates that I am seeing in the various months in Q1, right? So now I understood the count and the reject rate. I want to do some further root cause analysis. I want to understand, did the team do any further analysis? Was there any information documented around it, right? So I will say, what's the root cause for the reject rates in line in plant 6 in Q1 20. So this information, the team members had done some analysis and they have documented it in the audit document, as you can see here, and it is able to fetch the root cause from this document, right? So in this way, just with simple natural language queries, because we have defined ontology as the business intelligence layer on top of your siloed sources, your business users can now start asking questions in terms of the business entities, the business terms, etc., without having to rely on any of the personnel from your reports creation team or SMEs, etc., who know where the document is stored. They can fetch all the information using simple English language question. Okay. With this, let's switch over to the supply chain kind of scenario where I am performing the role of a logistics lead. So let me say, list all the shipments that have been delayed in Q1 2026. Show this by vendor in descending order. Okay, so I can ask for information in the way I feel is useful for me. So essentially, the reason for me for asking this question is I want to look at my various vendors and how they have been performing, not just which are the shipments that are delayed, right? And I can ask just like that. There we go. So usually when I want to get this kind of information, I would go through some dashboards, I would do some slicing and dicing, and I would still land at this information, right? But now, just by asking a simple English question, I was able to fetch the information in the way I prefer reviewing this information. So I'm seeing the shipments delayed by my various vendors, and it's also showing it to me in descending order. So as we can clearly see, FedEx is the one that had the most number of delayed shipments. Let me take this, and I'm also seeing the kind of shipment IDs that were delayed, right? So I'm seeing some example of the shipments. Now I can pick each of these and do some double click analysis, but let me take this one step further. Let me say, did we get any emails about delayed shipments? Sorry about that. Shipments recently. So instead of doing a detailed analysis of every shipment that is listed here, let me take the priority ones. And usually the priority ones is where we've heard from some of the supermarket that is expecting the shipments to come in, right? So what we can do is we can go ahead and first check if there is any ongoing conversation. So now that we saw the list of all the delayed shipments in Q1 in the way we wanted to consume that information, we can start asking a lot of follow questions, right? So as you can see, I wanted to know if there are any emails received for these shipment delays. So because I am also connected to Work IQ as part of my business intelligence layer, that's my ontology, I was able to get all the emails where all the delayed shipment information was listed here. Let me ask, why was shipment 17349 delayed? So there is a particular shipment ID for which, let's say I received a notification sometime earlier, and I want to do some deep dive analysis on this particular shipment from my backend sources. And then I will ask, is there any penalty? As you can, sorry. Yeah. So here I have got all the details of my shipment 17349. And because I am connected to all my various knowledge sources, it has gone ahead and fetched the information like the origin as well as destination. It's also bringing in the cause of why there was a delay. In addition to that, it's also doing further analysis and informing me whether there was a penalty involved or not, right? Let me take this further. I have one more scenario for the sake of this demo. I'll say, show me the details of shipment 19411. Why was it delayed? And is there a penalty owed? Okay. So because I have connected my solution to my structured data sources, my document repositories, as well as my emails and Teams chats, etc., I can easily ask this kind of question and expect it to connect all the dots for me, right? So here, as you can see, first it's giving me all the information of this shipment, who was the carrier, what was the origin, destination, etc. It's also fetching the information about the root cause for the delay, what exactly went wrong. And because I asked about penalty information, it's also checking the SLA that has been agreed with DHL. Because the reason is that the DHL collection vehicle did not arrive on the agreed dispatch window. That means the cause was in the control of the vendor. Thus, definitely there is a penalty that the vendor owes to us, right? So in this way, we are able to leverage this business intelligence layer that is created with Ontology and fetch the information about all our various different business entities and processes. Yeah. So with that demonstration, we showed you how an organization like Healthy Drinks can take advantage of Ontology, which is the business intelligence layer, which helps to connect all the various siloed sources of data. This could be your structured, unstructured information in your work context, that's your emails, Teams conversations, etc. So with the 4 pillars of Microsoft IQ, that is Fabric IQ, Foundry IQ, Work IQ, and Web IQ, we are able to deliver this intelligence layer, right? And with that, your agents would now get grounded, traceable responses. So how exactly does Acuvate step in here and help you, right? So we can work along with your business teams for a discovery session to identify your different business entities, terms, etc. Based on that, we will help define what your business ontology schema would look like, define all those relationships and business rules for you, and then go ahead and deliver this intelligence business layer. You need not have to start big bang. You start small, maybe one base business problem, one business unit team, and so on. And from there, we can grow over time, right? So we start off with a small data set or a small section of your business that is the most challenging. We define the complete ontology, we deliver that value for you over time, and then we grow it over time for your different business units. So with that, I would like to conclude my session. And we would be very happy to hear from you in case you have any questions or you want to do a deeper dive about our ontology services.